Good morning, Broncos country. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, but we want to be live on Facebook as well. We got Mile High Huddle. We got the Mile High Huddle podcast, your daily Broncos coverage, and we got the Mile High Huddle Denver Broncos fan super group. So we're streaming to 3 different locations, wherever you might want to check us in on Facebook. And it didn't hit the Mile High Huddle, so one more try on that one. The big one, over 100,000 strong in the Mile High Huddle group on Facebook. We are live. Welcome in, everybody. This is Broncos for Breakfast. I will be holding it down again. I know this isn't supposed to be a solo show, but it's been either me or Nick for almost 2 weeks now. But travel season, the weather's been so great. Figured we'd get out. Nick was out at the meet and greet in Colorado and will be traveling back to his home in Seattle over the next 24 hours or so. So he will be back tomorrow to join us. I was unable to go, so that means I can be here with y'all today. So otherwise, we wouldn't have had a show. So you win some, you lose some. So however you might see that one, you get me today. So Victory Monday, the Denver Broncos pulled out a win over the Green Bay Packers. And in doing so, there was a lot of good to take away from that one. One of them was they had lost 10 straight when leading at halftime. That's insane. I think they said NFL record, 10 straight losses when leading at halftime. Broke that streak because they were leading and won. But more importantly for me is the team found a way to win after falling behind. So you're leading at halftime, you fall behind 17-16. Here we go again. There's that sense of, we talk about culture all the time. And sometimes momentum can be play to play, it can be quarter to quarter, it can be week to week, it can be year to year. When you're in a season like this where everything seems to be going wrong, seems to be going against you, that here we go again feeling is a powerful detractor, demotivator. It's how bad teams find ways to lose. This team came back and won. I don't care if it was against the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers aren't a great team. That's okay. Denver Broncos haven't been a great team. In order to be a better team, you got to beat the bad teams. What, you're supposed to lose to them? Well, it was just the Green Bay Packers. Well, right now, you're 1-5. You're just the Denver Broncos. How do you stop being one of those teams? You win games. You win games like this. So that was one of my big takeaways. Want to hear some of y'all's. I want to say hello. We go live on these because we love the interaction on the comments. Let me bring up the big Facebook group too, because I want to make sure I don't miss any of those. But going solo, it won't be possible for me to see all of the comments coming in today because frankly, there's a lot of them. Y'all are busy in here. David Youngkin comes in. He says, I'm glad they won, but I'm still not impressed with the quality of the team. They don't have a true leader to put them in check, so I don't see them winning maybe but one more game this season. I understand that sentiment, but you look at it though, and what was the big concern coming into the last 2 weeks? Well, the defense. The defense was a huge concern. The defense has played pretty well here over the last couple of weeks. You lose, they didn't play great at times against the Jets, but they did play very well against the Chiefs. Frankly, they played very well against the Packers. That's back-to-back weeks when you have played well. The offense has had its moments of some really good and then some, okay, not so good. But I feel like the bad moments from the different phases of the game are becoming fewer and fewer. Instead of, okay, how are we going to lose this one? It's how can we win this game? How can we stay in this game? At times it felt like the Kansas City Chiefs were really comfortable, but in that win, it's like, it was a one-score game for a long time, but it never felt like we were really in it as Denver Broncos. I think it's closer. This team is improving. They're not good, but they're improving. That's a start, man. That's a start. Jeremy Sean says, if there's a will this way, good morning, Scott. Glad all the other bad teams won. We had a great time together. We were missed yesterday. Yeah, I missed y'all too. I'm sorry I did not get to see you. It was I needed to be here this weekend for one of those just one of those things that popped up. I had planned on coming all along, but didn't get to make it. And how about that for redemption? Will Lutz was great. He was clutch. Lutz was clutch. And I think you've got to give credit to Sean Payton for some of these things. We always want to be very knee jerk and reactionary. Fire Vance Joseph. And I'm not saying he's going to last. And I'm not saying I wasn't one of those saying I'm surprised. I was. But the defense has improved. It absolutely has improved. He didn't yank the rug out from under the kicker. I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Maher had a big miss for the Rams yesterday as well. And Lutz came in clutch. That was sticking by your guys. You've got to be a little bit more even keeled than us fans / fanatics if you're going to stay the course. And man management, like I've said before, one of the reasons you keep some of these guys is because you don't want people looking over their shoulders all the time. If I make a mistake, I'm going to be gone too. Then I'm scared to make a play. I give credit to Sean Payton for this. Lawrence comes in. Good to see you, Lawrence. After all these years of sucking, my son has never seen a winning season, and he's probably their biggest fan. But I'm appreciative that they were able to get that win for his birthday today. Well, happy birthday, little man. I know that probably meant a lot to him. And I think the Denver Broncos meet and greet for Mile High Huddle is now 3-0. Why aren't we doing this every week, man? Come on. Let's get serious here. Snarky user say appreciate the super chat coming in. Breaking the ice for us on a Monday. He says Javonte telling Melanie Collins that he was mentoring Jaleel McLaughlin to be professional, like Mel Gordon did for him, was just about enough to make me sick. I don't know that that's the right way to put it, so to speak. I mean, you don't necessarily have great feelings of Melvin Gordon, but if he helped Javonte Williams become a better player, then thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you're gone, but thank you for that. And Javonte Williams faced some huge obstacles to be out there. And frankly, Javonte Williams looked fantastic. That's as good as we've seen Javonte Williams look since he hurt his knee, which has been, a little over a year. And he looks to, if he's not back to 100%, it's awfully damn close. There were times, where I would just see the movement and I'd be like, okay, who's at running back? Because I wasn't positive. Just the way that he'd go right tackle, plant a foot, come back, bring it back inside to the left. He hasn't been doing that. He doesn't have that. Who has that kind of movement? It's Jaleel McLaughlin. And then once he breaks into the second level, it's just diabolical to watch these linebackers and defensive backs try and tackle him. It's a lot of fun. The running game was really good. The running backs all played well. Jaleel McLaughlin had his moments. How about a 2nd and 31 and he picks up about 25 yards on a draw? Thank you. Samaje Perine in the passing game, running the ball, running hard, breaking tackles, and then Javonte Williams. So very good rotation, and hopefully keeps those guys healthy, and helps the offensive line establish some rhythm as well, because it's a lot easier to pass block when you've got the threat of the running game. Listen, if those guys can pin their ears back, a good offensive lineman's going to have his hands full. A struggling offensive line is going to be in a lot of trouble. If I can get them just a half a step back when I've got them thinking about the run and that I'm plowing into them, and if I don't, you're going to have to tackle this tank or try and catch this jitterbug. It's really good. It helps the entire offense. Appreciate you, snarky user, coming in. Let me see here. Kevin Gray coming in here. He says, morning, Scott. Big Mile High salute to Broncos country. Disappointed that y'all didn't stream the meet and greet. There are a few times that 2 and 5 were tied with, including the Chargers. Yeah, the meet and greet, I'm not sure how much you try and stream. Having been to one, you're trying to play host as well, say hello to everybody and meet everybody. And that becomes a little hard while you're also hosting a show and hosting a live stream. Plus, you have to do it off of cellular out in the parking lot, which I don't necessarily trust to try and do. So I understand why they don't do that. It's a little bit of a distraction, and it's the logistics and technology behind it are a little tough, Kevin. Let me see. I want to scroll down here a little bit. We're talking about the records right now. You look at Tankathon right now. The draft order says Carolina at 0-6 going to the Bears. Arizona has climbed up into the number 2 spot. Chicago Bears at 2-5 are at the number 3 spot, and the Denver Broncos number 4, um, at 2-5 as well. I think at the end of the season, the tiebreakers are going to work against you. If you're the Denver Broncos, the tiebreaker becomes your strength of schedule. The Denver Broncos have a really tough strength of schedule, unless the Raiders and Chargers don't ever win any more games. I think we're all pretty surprised. The Chargers are 2-4. At least that's what this says. So they must have had a bye, but they're 2-4. And the Raiders, good gracious, they got whipped by the Bears and looked bad at doing it. I don't know about y'all. You get tailored feeds on Twix and everything, so it's kind of an echo chamber. They show you what you want to see. So if you've been clicking on the Broncos, you look over in trending and it says a lot of Bronco stuff. Sean Payton, Russell Wilson, those are your trending topics. Then they'll throw in a national one. For me, what was trending was McDumbass, and I knew exactly who that was and what that was going to mean. So the Raiders, I mean, who could have seen this coming? He's been such a wild success. I know Denver Broncos fans are enjoying a little Schadenfreude on the Josh McDaniels and Raiders thing, but can't enjoy it as much unless you beat them and you get your final chance, the last game of the year, January 7th, in Las Vegas. God, I want to say Oakland every single time I do that. Let me see here. We got several stars coming in as well. Let me scroll down to the Facebook crew that we came in. Michael Ronquillo, appreciate you coming in. He says, good morning, Scott, on Broncos for breakfast. Good to be here. It is absolutely good to be here. And let me see. Mark Schrader coming in on Facebook as well. Says, good morning, Scott. I feel Javonte Williams look great. I hope they use him even more. Yeah, you want to ease him in to a certain extent. And the thing about it is, though, you're going to want to say the same thing about Jaleel McLaughlin. Like, man, I want to see him used more. These are good problems to have. And then, okay, well, we get Samaje Perine out in the open field, and he's breaking tackles and doing well. All good problems to have. Brandon Williams coming in with some stars as well. He says, I may be in the minority, but I think we may be better at safety without Kareem Jackson from the athletics side of it. I think so too. I mean, you wanted Caden Stearns there, but you can't really count on Caden Stearns. In this offseason, you're going to have to get a safety. You're going to have to use a nice resource on one, whether it's a day 2 pick or several $1 million. Go get a $5-6 million safety instead of the 2 that you've been spending on Kareem the last couple of years, but get somebody reliable in there. And there's some discussion, and I don't know where y'all fall on this with the play on he's the Kareem Jackson play. I described it as, I don't know what y'all called it when you were kids, but when you dive into off the diving board, do they even have diving boards anymore because of the lawyers and insurance companies? And you put your arms to the side and you dive in like a torpedo. We called those a sailor dive, and you weren't allowed to do them at pools because break your damn neck. That's how he goes into tackles. His arms are to his side. He ducks his head, and he just tries to torpedo guys. One, that's incredibly dangerous for both players, but 2, it's bad tackling. But 3, you're going to get called on that if you hit anywhere above the shoulders. It's textbook what they write in college is targeting. So he's sailor diving into all of these things. He's not leading. He's not looking like he's even trying to tackle. He's just trying to spear guys. I don't know if that's a product of him being so undersized, but it's going to get called all the time. So, well, the guy ducked down. Yeah, but he's still coming in with his head. It's almost used to a bad word there. It's crap form. It's dangerous for everybody. And it deserves to be punished. It deserves to be. And yes, would he normally get thrown out of the game? Maybe not. Is he going to get thrown out for being a repeat offender? Yeah, your reputation is going to follow you. And I look at a similar play, a helmet-to-helmet play that happened at the beginning of the second quarter. I put it down in my notes because I knew what I was rewatching the game, and it was Alex Singleton and Fabian Moreau. Let me come back to Fabian Moreau. Moreau kind of holds up the receiver on a little slip screen. It was kind of an out route. Moreau holds the guy up, and Alex Singleton comes in and cleans the guy out. It was clearly helmet to helmet, but you know what? It was like face mask to helmet. Alex Singleton sees what he's hitting. He's attempting to reach and actually make a tackle. He wants to make a big hit. These guys still want to hit, but it was a better form tackle. It was much safer for Alex. It was much safer for him. He didn't just come in diving like he's diving into a pile, diving into the water with his arms on his side, leading with the top of his helmet. It's a helmet to helmet hit. Why didn't that one get called? Because it was a football play. It was so. I think you're better off without Kareem Jackson, period. And you found out, he gets himself thrown out of about every third game anyway. Something's got to change there. It's one of the reasons this team's playing better is because you've gotten rid of Randy Gregory and Frank Clark. Maybe, the guys are stepping up and knowing, listen, these guys weren't very professional and that we're getting our chance and we've seen the accountability. Maybe that could be part of it. So I'm not going to miss Kareem Jackson. I appreciate that he plays hard, but he's reckless and unsafe. That's how I feel about it. And if that makes some people mad, apologies, but that's how I feel about Kareem Jackson right now as a football player in the NFL. Mark Lindemood, good to see you. He says, good morning, Scott, in Broncos country. It is good to see you as well. Miguel Santi-Stevan coming in on Facebook with some stars. Says, good morning, Scott. Do you think this is a good stepping stone to finally getting complete game in all three phases? Yes, I do. The offense looked better in spurts. We can talk about bad calls. I think the worst call of the bunch was the first touchdown on the first drive that got called back on a Quinn Bailey hold. I was another one of those where I was like, wow, what a great block. Holding number 75. I'm like, what are you talking about? He took his guy to the ground because he went inside him and he pancaked him to the ground and you're calling that back for a hold? That's ridiculous. I thought the offense looked good in spurts. I feel like you've got a go-to receiver right now. Courtland Sutton is becoming that guy again where, hey, he's just throw it to him. He'll make a play. That's a good thing. Russell Wilson was doing a good job of protecting the ball, getting rid of it at times. I don't remember as many batted balls as we've seen in the past. I've seen him, throwing some sidearm stuff, doing some things that are a little more creative that we haven't seen from Russell Wilson. The running game gets going will help the pass protection. The defense, there was nowhere to go but up, but they are definitely playing better. Now, the concern I have on the defensive side of the ball, the pressure. You just got rid of two edges. What do you expect? Well, those guys weren't getting, Frank Clark wasn't playing and Randy Gregory was getting blocked too. If you're sending four guys, you're not getting to the quarterback. That will continue to be a problem. You can get away with that when you're playing the Jordan Loves of the world. You can get away with that when you're playing Zach Wilson. You thought you might be able to get away with it, Justin Fields, and you couldn't. He's playing pretty well. You could get away with that against a first start from Jimmy Garoppolo, and you probably can do it against whoever the Raiders throw out there now with Brian Hoyer. You can't do that against Patrick Mahomes. Not that there is a way to stop him. You're not going to be able to do that against the Bills. You're not going to be able to do that against the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. You're not going to be able to do that with the Browns and Deshaun Watson, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, all of those things. You've got to start being able to find ways to get pressure on these guys with hopefully somebody will step up. Baron Browning could be that guy who's a little jittery between McGlinchey flinching offside with his false starts and Baron Browning. I want to see those two line up and just forget snap counts because they don't pay attention to them anyway. I wonder what that looks like in practice when they're going against each other. US Dave, thank you for the reminder. How about that Fabian Moreau? Fabian Moreau played great. I've given him plenty of shtick for how he played in the past when I watched him for a full season with the Atlanta Falcons. His first plays with the Denver Broncos were bad. I said I was very surprised he was even on this team. Still, with the way he has played, he played very well. I thought he was good in coverage, made some good tackles. He played a very, very good game. I think you got to be pleased with the way he played, and he's definitely played better than the way Damari Mathis had played on one of the cornerback spots. You start looking at the different areas. Jaquan McMillian, I didn't see him too much, which is probably a good thing. But I did see you're going to pick on Fabian Moreau if you're an offensive coordinator in game planning. I thought he played very well. So props to Fabian Moreau for a solid game yesterday against the Green Bay Packers. Let me see here. And Jimmy Smith says, I really don't care about how hard our strength of schedule the rest of the season is. If you haven't noticed the absolute parity of the NFL, parity of the NFL, parity. Yeah, now you've got me confused. I think it's parity. But I'm not positive. I always have to Google that. Which one is it? Of the NFL this year, you aren't actually watching. Jimmy, I agree. That said, at the end of the day, the standings don't lie. You'll end up getting a team. The Patriots beat the Buffalo Bills. But you look at the standings, and the Buffalo Bills are 4-3, and the Patriots are 2-5. So yes, any given week you can go out and beat a team that is quote unquote better than you. I agree. The better teams are going to win more games, and that's the way the standings are going to be. So, but you look at it, and there's some really surprising scores this weekend. Bears and Raiders is not one. The Patriots beating the Bills, yes. The Giants beating the Commanders, probably. They were 1-5 going in. The Ravens hammering the Lions. There you go. That's one of those. These are two pretty good teams. And it should have been a close game, but one of them was ready to play at home. One of them wasn't. This one got ugly. The Seahawks, I'm still not sure about the Seahawks, but they get a win against a bad Cardinals team. Chiefs and Chargers went the way we expected to, and I'm not surprised the Eagles Dolphins. But every week there's going to be that Giants-Commanders game. There's going to be that the Patriots beating the Bills is pretty shocking to everybody. When the Patriots win 3 in a row, come talk to me. That's when I start to get interested when I start not thinking about strength of schedule, because you could beat the Chiefs, but then you got the Bills. You beat those 2 in a row, we're talking. Now we're sitting there at what? We're 2-5, 4-5. We're talking playoffs. You beat those 2 teams, so we'll see on that. But yeah, it's the parity means that a team that should win isn't going to on a schedule of 16 games every week, but or 14, 15 games every week. But typically the better teams are, I know, big statement here, Scott. The better teams the table don't lie at the end of the season. Made sure I said hi to Michael Ranquillo. I think we're caught up on the super chat side of things. Look at who's here today. Nick Kendall says, hello from Denver, hopping on a plane soon. Shout out to Scott for holding down Broncos for breakfast for it while I was gone. Should be there constantly until a little guy is here in January. That'll come faster than you expect. Nick, travel safe. It was fun to see y'all together last night on the if you didn't get to see everybody, it was Lance, Nick, Eric, and Chad on the gut reaction last night. So hopefully you got a chance to say hello. Aiden Davis says, good morning, Aiden. He says, look nice to finally have us run some man-to-man. Got the personnel for it. And like I said, I thought Fabian Moreau played a very good game. K-Hop, good question. Scott, can I get your assessment on the interior line, specifically Cush? Much better with Lloyd Cushenberry. Much better. Not good, but this is damning with faint praise, I know. But I think he's worked his way up to just below average, which is a very big improvement to from a complete liability. I keep an eye on the interior line in the run sets. They're holding their point of attack much better. They're not just immediately in the Broncos backfield. I'm seeing more. My bigger concern right now would be McGlinchey on the right tackle getting beat inside, getting beat outside. He gets beat outside twice, and then he falls for a head fake, and he gets beat inside on the pass protection. Man, that's got to get better. I would still be looking for an upgrade in the offseason on Cushenberry. The run blocking, though, I think is much better. And the coaching, the communication between that unit is considerably better. It was mind-boggling last year how easily teams could get through the middle of the offensive line with a stunt. Just the end coming around the backside of the defensive tackle and coming right up the middle untouched. I'm a center. I block down on my defensive tackle as he is going out towards my offensive tackle. So let's say I'm the center or towards my guard. Double team that guy. and then I have to come off of him and shift back to the left as the guy comes around and stunts. That never happened. They would just follow along with the tackle who's taking the guard to the right side of the offensive line, leaving a huge gap in the middle, and it would never get picked up. It was astounding. The lack of communication slash coaching slash adjustments that I would get on a middle school team for. It was mind blowing. Much better though, much better. Miners is solid. You're good there, and I like the way he's still one of the only guys that can get out onto the exterior running game slash screen game, passing game for me. Cush is usually there late, can't do it. Powers, I'm not sure he's that guy. McGlinchey, I haven't seen them really try and do that. When they've had success running the screens, it's been a single that then they've started. We've seen it happen with McLaughlin a couple of times, including a touchdown a few weeks ago, where it's a screen and there's one lead blocker. Normally you can have 2 or even 3 guys out there. The Broncos have given up on that. They've done it now with one guy, and it's Miners leading the charge, and it's been more successful. So I would still try and have I'd still look for an upgrade in the offseason at center. All right, here. As Jeremy says, the ejection almost cost us a game and also won us the game. Step up PJ Locke. That was talking about Kareem Jackson going out and having PJ Locke step up in his place. And Ethan, good to see you. Appreciate you joining me this morning. He says, it's a good point, Jeremy. And I think it's time to make that change. I was shocked that Kareem Jackson wasn't suspended the last time. This one wasn't as bad as who was that game against? It was Logan Tom? Was it the Cardinals? You remember, God, they all start running together. Commanders, not Cardinals, Commanders. That one I thought he'd get suspended for. This wasn't a suspendable hit for me, but his priors contributed to him being ejected. We'll see. I mean, how many times do you get thrown out of a game? In other sports, those things start to stack. You get suspended for that type of thing. You get kicked out of a game, you usually get suspended. You do it again, you get suspended a little longer. You do it again, you get suspended even longer. So we will see. We'll see on that one. Let me scroll down here and say hello to some folks. Robot of Doom, sorry we didn't get to see you. As he says, yeah, we still have diving boards. Got 2 1-meter boards and a 3-meter. Good, because in the suburbs, they take a lot of the diving boards out because the insurance companies and the lawyers said so. All right. I'm into the part of the chat when we're having the reactions on the Kareem Jackson. So I want to scroll down just a little bit more. He says, Scott, was this the most complete game put together by the Denver Broncos this season? Yeah, for sure. Because the win that you got against the Bears, that was a half. You went to sleep for a long time, fell way behind, and came back and won that game. This game, what kept me from dominating, one was a penalty that moved you, that called back a touchdown for the opening drive on, I think that's Quinn Bailey, because I was like, oh, that was McGlinchey. I didn't have their numbers memorized as I'm watching. I was like, oh, 75 made a great block from right tackle. That was probably a jumbo set. And then I looked it up. It's like, oh man, who's that getting beat? I was like, oh, that's McGlinchey. But he made a great block for a touchdown run and it gets called back. But not scoring touchdowns kept this game a lot closer than it needed to be. And then he ended up in an uncomfortable situation because most teams are going to make a run. It just happens. So the defense collapsed at the end. Man, this NFL, dude, the shutouts are pretty rare. Teams are going to make a run and it's going to be a 1-score game. That's how most of these games go. You made it much more uncomfortable on yourself than you needed to by not finishing off drives. And hopefully they can do better on that. But the special teams were good. Defense on the whole was good. Do I want to see more pressure? Yes. Is that going to be a problem against some of the better quarterbacks in the league? Yes. So, but you got to win out of this one. And I think it was definitely the most complete game. Let me scroll down here just a little bit. Tyler coming in. This is door dashing. Listen to Scott on Broncos for breakfast. MHH, I believe if the Broncos win the next 2 games, they will feel like they can play with anybody. Might give some push, but we'll see. I'm going to grab a cough drop here real quick. You win the next 2 games, you can play with anybody. These are 2 AFC heavyweights coming in. I know the Bills just dropped 1-2, and the Bills aren't playing great. That's the thing about the playoffs. If the playoffs started tomorrow, would you want to face the Bills? If they're 4-3 and they're the 8th seed and we're the number 2 seed and we have to play them in the first round and we're the Miami Dolphins, would you want to face the Bills right now, or would you want to hopefully move them down? These are still 2 heavyweights coming up. If you can beat the Chiefs and you can beat the Bills, you don't just think you can feel like you can play with anybody. You can. You can beat anybody in the league, and that's going to be a interesting week. One at a time. It's been close. Playing the Chiefs close. Got to get over that hump. So we will see. Getting that one at home, I think that's a big help coming up here. Getting able to play that one. You played them tough on the road. Then you get to bring them back home and play them at Mile High, and then going back on the road against the Bills is going to be a tough order. That's for sure. Want to say hello to Troy coming in. He says, "Hey, Scott, missed you. Missed you too, man. Can't listen now, but wanted to support. Love you for it, dude. The meet and greet was great. Hope we can shock the Chiefs and still trade some salaries. Have a great show." You don't really need the salaries for this year. It's kind of already accounted for. So, I wouldn't necessarily be giving these guys away unless there was a addition by subtraction type of thing. Randy Gregory, I don't know this for a fact, so let's just call it an educated guess based on, hey, I pay attention, and this is what I do for a living. Randy Gregory was a problem for the Denver Broncos in the locker room, on the field, with effort and attitude. That's not a statement of fact. That is my opinion. You're willing to give him away now. There's no reason to give away Garrett Bowles for anything other than decent compensation. Jerry Jeudy, unless he's a problem. Cortland Sutton, Justin Simmons would be on the trade block again. He could get you a return. Those are big contracts that you can move on from next year. There's no reason to just give those guys away during the season. I'm listening. Hey, my phone's ringing. Make me an offer. No, I'll wait till the offseason when I've got a little bit more options. We're gonna try and win some games here, and I have flexibility in the offseason with their cap for next year, because those are the moves you're making. Any move you're making is for next year, and unless you can make me an offer that entices me, that I think I can make my team better next year, then I'll just wait till next year. Hopefully that makes sense, as I just said next year like 40 times in a row. Dylan Van Arks, he coming in here. Says 3-0 when I'm in Denver. I think we need to put a fund together and move Dylan Von Arks to Denver. Talking about plays, I know this one's controversial. This was not a touchdown when PS2 made that play. That was an interception. He had 2 feet down before the receiver had 2 feet down. Now, before the rules analyst said that, had you ever heard that before? Ever? And when I heard that some people were saying about it, and I've listened to Sean Payton talk about it in the press conference, I thought it was an end zone thing. I'm like, okay, maybe the rule's different in the end zone, because it's never been about who completes the catch first. It's always been simultaneous possession. And when I saw that play, immediately, I was like, okay, touchdown. That's just the way it's been called the 1,000 times I've seen this in my life. And then he talks about, he catches the ball. Well, okay, to complete the catch, you have to survive the ground. So it's not a catch when your 2 feet come down, because you fell down, right, Calvin Johnson? So to complete the action of catching the ball, you have to survive all the way to the ground, or it's not a catch if you fall. What's a catch anymore in the NFL? It's ridiculous. So the whole thing is confusing as hell. My immediate reaction, based on the other 1,000 times I've seen this play called, was that's a touchdown. Simultaneous possession. They completed the catch on the ground, touchdown. I don't know where this thing came from. If that's the rule, so be it. But watching that live, I didn't have a problem with the call. It seemed like the easy way. I didn't have a problem with the call watching that live. Now, if there was clarification on in the end zone, so be it. But again, you still have to complete the call, complete the act going to the ground, which would negate whose feet are down first. If I jump up and catch the ball against a 7-footer, comes in and just grabs the ball at the same time and his feet are on the ground while I'm in the air, you don't give him the catch because he's taller and his feet are on the ground. That's ridiculous. So that was a strange one. I'm totally confused at this point, and I think the NFL is too, because how many times do we have to say, what the hell is a catch anyway, on that note? So I'm glad the controversy ended up a moot point and you won the game. And it didn't end up really mattering on that one. Pearl Heater Haas comes in and asks a question. Will any be any trades before the deadline? I think so. I still think so. There will still be some trades before the deadline. But again, it's got to be worth your while for any of your veteran players with big contracts. We're talking Justin Simmons, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Garrett Bowles. Randy Gregory's already gone. He was someone that was going to come off of that deal. Those are the big four off the top of my head. Let me look at the other. DJ Jones is safe. Josie Jewell is a possibility. I just don't know that you're gonna have to pay him to go away. And there really aren't any big contracts after that. So those would be the big ones where you're looking for. Those guys will probably be on different contracts next year, whether you cut them, restructure, or whatever. Those are guys you would be looking to move. But again, as I just said a few minutes ago, I don't think you can, you're just looking to give those guys away. For sure. And as Colin says, hey, when in doubt, the call goes against the Broncos on that one. Or the old, we didn't see it. On those. And Mark says it came from the rules analyst. I know, I heard what he had to say. And he didn't clarify that it was called differently than in the end zone versus a catch in the field. So when I heard Sean Payton discussing, because that was the first time I heard anybody discussing it about the feet coming down, because I'd never heard that before. I was like, well, maybe that's an end zone call. I don't know. It was strange for me. But again, I watched, the other one was, if you've got 2 feet in, but you're facing inbounds and you're up on your tiptoes, but then your heels come down out of bounds, you're out of bounds. That was new to me also. And then I saw, who's the Rams super rookie? He had the exact same play. Oh, and his foot is his toes down as he's facing back towards the quarterback and his heel lands out of bounds. Oh, that's a catch. Call stands. Like I said, it shouldn't be this confusing. What the hell is a catch anyway? So the way they've called it forever, I wasn't surprised that it was called a touchdown. On that note, we're getting close to just getting out of here. We've gone about 38 minutes or so. Nick will be back tomorrow, and Nick and I will talk a little meet and greet. We haven't actually discussed any football together in over a week, so that will be fun. Lou comes in. He says, at least there'll be stress watching the next couple of games against the Bills and Chiefs. Pros and cons of when we win or lose. I'd rather win, though. Yeah, like I said, you listen to the fans, and you can justify, like, okay, well, if we lose, we're in a better position for the draft, and this is a really good draft at the top. But you're still having a trouble. You still want your team to win. You still want these guys to do well. And as Ryan Thompson says, the team looks like they actually wanted to win that game. And that's when I will give up on a team, is when they look like they don't care. Again, y'all have heard me say it before. You're going to be fans for a lot longer than these guys are going to be Denver Broncos. This is a job for them. They are professionals. You will outlast them. And if they give up out there, they don't deserve your support. If they are still out there playing hard and trying to win games and giving it their best, even if they're outmanned and they don't win, then they deserve your support. If they quit, it's okay to quit on them. And I don't think you've seen that from them for sure. On that note, I am going to get out of here. Kevin says, great show. Good banter today in the chat. Well, I appreciate it. We're at about 40 minutes. I think I'm going to get us out of here. So make sure everybody, let me see if I can run through some of these things here real quick. This was Broncos for breakfast. Sure you're following us on the Twix machine at the MHH pod is one of them, and the mother account is Mile High Huddle. Check out the merch. I know there was a bunch of new merch going yesterday at mhhmerch.com. I won't say the last part because I'm an old white guy and it sounds silly to me. I mentioned at the top of the show the three places where we look at Facebook. One of them is Mile High Huddle Pod. And then there's also the Mile High Huddle Pod, the daily Denver Broncos coverage. Mile High Huddle, 100,000 strong, and the Mile High Huddle Super Fans group, Denver Broncos chat. We're also on Instagram at mile_high_huddle. Check us out on the Apple Podcasts. We've cut these up and put them in audio versions. We go live because we like the interaction and all of those things that we're doing, but we're also on demand wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us I can't tell you how much it helps when y'all come in and leave us. It plays with that algorithm. It gets more people to find Denver Broncos content. And if you can't do any of those things, which those part I'm pretty sure you can, go to Apple Podcasts, leave those reviews. It is a huge help. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Thank you to my Super Chat superstar, Snarky User, Michael Renchio, Troy Bohr, Brandon Williams, and look at Michael coming in here at the end to close us out with the stars. Great show today on Broncos for breakfast. And Ethan, appreciate you. My eyes are starting to water because my voice is about to go. So I'm going to say goodbye to y'all. I actually might be back tonight with the priests while some of those, some people are still in transit. So I might see y'all tonight with Zach, who was absent yesterday. If not, I'll see you tomorrow with Nick. Hope y'all have a great day. Enjoy your Victory Monday, and I'll see you next time.